Hi, everybody. My name is Brandon. I am your moderator and host for this episode. Welcome to the new normal, where we talk to industry experts on what has changed in their day-to-day during lockdown and everything with the pandemic, how they're adapting to remote life, crazy Zoom stories. Just a fun conversation with people within the industry and talking about this new normal. We're joined by our usual panel. We have Aaron Kier, Principal Security Consultant at Cypress, Steve Costin, Principal Security Consultant at Cypress. We have Brian Marshall, CTO at Lark Security, Nick Angadi, CEO at Lark Security, and our celebrity guest for this week is Mike Dean, Senior Innovation Consultant at Kaiser Permanente Innovation. So, hi, Mike. Can you
Hey, Brandon.
give us a
Hey, everybody.
intro and talk about yourself?
Yeah, my name's Mike Dean. I work for Kaiser Permanente. I'm based here in the Denver area. I work for a team called KP Innovation. We support all 8 regions of Kaiser Permanente with the innovation work that we're doing. And my responsibilities, I handle the operations of the KP Innovation Lab at Catalyst. That's how, Brandon, you and I met and how we've gotten to know each other over the last couple of years. I'm involved with a number of our innovation pilots and POCs, so I'm responsible for finding those projects for us to work on and then ultimately taking them as far as we can. Ideally, finding something that we can deploy it with some kind of appropriate spread. That could be 1 region, 4 regions, all 8 regions would be ideal, but whatever makes sense. I'm responsible for technology and vendor evaluations. That's a big part of the work that we also do at the Innovation Lab. I get involved with research around emerging technologies. So what's happening in the world around us that KP should be paying attention to or getting involved with. And innovation communication. So I contribute to a number of our team's podcasts. I help with videos, I help with written form. And best part of my job is relationship management, getting to know people. So that's why being a Catalyst is perfect for me, but then also outside of Catalyst and around the nation.
Nice. That's very cool. I have a first question for you, which is something that I've always wanted to ask somebody on a podcast, is I see the word innovation thrown around all the time. And most of the time, I have no idea what that means and how that's related to what they do. So for you, what does innovation mean? And how are you applying that to what you're doing at KP?
Yeah, so for our team, we keep it really simple. It's doing something new, doing something differently than the way we've done it before. And it's either brand new to KP or maybe current technology that's being used in a brand new way, but it's something new in some way, shape, or fashion. A lot of the work that we do, because we are in IT, is technology focused, but we can also get involved with non-technical solutions as well, or find a way for technology to support new non-technical. So if there's physicians that have a new way of giving care, maybe there's an opportunity for us to support that with some kind of technology as well. So that's our very, very simple definition. But to your point, when you ask 10 people, what does innovation mean to you? You get 10 different definitions. And so one thing I have to remember is when I talk about the Innovation Lab, when I talk about the team, I have it in my title, we have it in our team name, I have it on the outside of our lab, that somebody's already defined this is what you do. And I can sit here and explain that, and they can say, yeah, that's great, but they've already decided what I do. So I have to also respect their perception as my reality, and how do I make that fit with what I actually do. But the best part about it is you go to parties and you say, hey, I'm on the innovation team. Everybody wants to talk to you, and everybody invites you to all the cool meetings that are happening internally because, oh, we need somebody from innovation. Well, why would we need that? Well, I don't care, but we need somebody from that team. Nice. So for me, just having that word has definitely opened up some doors that may not have otherwise if we'd have had a maybe more accurate name, but wouldn't have meant anything to anybody. So
I'm still jealous that you get invited to parties.
Yeah, 1 or 2. Or I just show up at them. That's the other option.
Well,
That's
we do
my
that all
move.
the time, but it's not the same. Invited, that's like, A-list status or at least B-list.
That's actually how I got to the Innovation Lab operations role. Was I kept going to meetings that I wouldn't get invited to. So I got involved with the project a couple of years. Wow, it's been quite a while ago now, probably about 4 years ago, when Catalyst was a flat piece of land. KP was had already signed their lease. And so I got involved with the project, and I was supposed to be involved for 6 months, help figure out the right technologies to put in there. And then I really saw, I heard Vasily talk so many times, and I heard his passion, and I bought in. I drank his Kool-Aid, and I thought, we can do some cool stuff here. We have a responsibility as KP to do some really interesting stuff here. And I just started going to any meeting I heard about. And the thing about Kaiser is they're too nice to say, hey, you're not supposed to be here. You show up, they may give you the odd look, but it's like, oh, sorry, I'm late, continue on, whatever the case might be. So I kept going to these meetings. Pretty soon, they look at you funny. And then some people pay attention. Hey, you've been to multiple meetings. You're not on this distribution list. So you get forwarded more. And then finally you get invited. And then through all of that, plus some other fortunate circumstances for me, selfishly, I ended up with that particular responsibility. But again, it's like, so when I say I just show up, I did that, and it worked out. So
that's pretty cool. I like that a lot. That's cool.
we use a similar tactic to get security into projects because they never want to invite the security team, but it's kind of one of the things you need. So you just start showing up. It's like, hey, project meeting. I didn't get an invite.
Yeah, but I heard about this, and I know I'm supposed to be here.
It happens more often around lunch meetings.
Right. Yeah, I heard you were going to BJ's. Is that a project meeting?
Yeah, anywhere there's food or happy hour afterwards. Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah, that's great. Sounds like I just need to put innovation in my title, and then I'll be complete. I show up to places I'm not invited to all the time. That's kind of my entire career right there, Mike.
He does. It's kind of annoying. We started this podcast, and he just Zoom bombed us like 6 weeks ago, and he's been here ever since.
Took over as the host and moderator.
Mm-hmm.
Hence why there were network difficulties.
Right. Hey, I was kind of curious with the innovation stuff you're doing. What is some of the stuff you're most proud of? What are some of your biggest accomplishments?
So we opened up the Innovation Lab formally. We had a big grand opening event in February of 2019. So with that, and one of the interesting things about working at Catalyst is you meet other people, and we would talk to them and say, hey, what are you going to do here? And a lot of us were trying to figure it out in the months leading up to that. And we got a lot of the same answers at some of the community events of, we don't know what we're going to do, but we wanted to be here and we're figuring it out. So when we had that grand opening, I couldn't have told you two things that we thought that we knew definitively that we were going to do. We had aspirations, we had ideas, but we're opening the doors. 150 people show up over an evening, and they leave, and then it's like, wow, what do we do now? So with that, last year we ended up working on 13 innovation projects, some by our team exclusively, because like I mentioned, we're a national team, and so we support all regions. But we also developed great partnerships here in Colorado. And since I have a long history with KP here in Colorado, that allowed me to reach out to some groups and take advantage of the connections I had to say, what are you interested in? What are the problems you're trying to solve? How can we help? And it allowed us over the course of a year to build up a portfolio of 13 projects through 2019 that, okay, we've proven what we can do. We've proven how we can use the space. We use the space for meetings and events and other things, but really we're going to be measured on what do we deliver out of there. And so it's really going to be about the technologies and the project. So we built up this portfolio of 13 projects, and we were getting ready to define where do we go from here. And at the beginning of this year, our plan was we were going to add technology and vendor evaluations where we were going to bring in technologies into the innovation lab. It's 3,500 square feet, so we can mock it up to be somebody's home or somebody's office or a clinic setting. And we were going to bring in technologies, mock up the environment, and then bring in physicians or patients or whoever the right people are to come in. I mean, others in Catalyst, I have no problem reaching out to Brandon and others to say, hey, come down and bang on this technology and give us feedback. And so we were going to have a set of projects, and then we were going to expand through those evaluations that would lead to hopefully future projects. And then this funny thing called COVID started, coming around, and all that's been put on hold. I think since March 16th, I've only been in about half a dozen times, but we're trying to figure out, can we do what our original plans were around those evaluations, but do it in a safer way? So instead of having people come to us, maybe I'm in there, everybody's on a Zoom meeting like this, and they say, okay, Mike, we want you to do this. Let's see what the result is. So we're trying to figure out how to take advantage of that resource. We've been doing all of this remotely, which has its challenges, but we're hoping to be able to take advantage of the lab for the way that we had intended it. So again, it was going to be more events, more projects. We had some lined up. Some of the areas that we're focusing on this year, we did a project at the end of last year we called it Physician Burnout, Physician Resiliency. And one of the topics that came up that we're now diving into is artificial intelligence scribe technology. What's out there like Alexa or, so many other technologies that can take some of the administrative burden off of physicians, which is one of the things that we heard contributes to their burnout, is they're like, I want to be a doctor. I didn't sign up to do the administrative piece so much. Remote patient monitoring, especially through COVID, has come to the forefront. We've been working on a lot of projects there, and that's going to continue as we plan for, hopefully it doesn't happen, but all signs are saying we're going to have another surge. So let's be better ready for it. And that's going to be one area. Artificial intelligence, blockchain, what should we do with it? Remember earlier I said emerging technologies, understanding what they are, but then should Kaiser be interested or not? And those are a couple of areas that we've got to figure out, because we have such a massive amount of data. We don't know what to do with it. We haven't made it a differentiator for us yet. We can hopefully contribute to it. AR, VR, IoT, even interestingly, you may roll your eyes at this, or some may roll their eyes. 3D printing is all of a sudden a hot topic again. We looked into it 3 years ago, decided not to move forward doing anything centrally in the organization. But now through COVID, that conversation's coming back to life. So
that's fascinating. Yeah, I've just found I could imagine with the data set you have, the possibilities for AI have to be pretty tremendous, and it's really just trying to figure out what you're going to chase after in that area too. So,
yeah, one of the groups that I worked closely with last year, and still have a lot of good connections with, is the National Population Health Team, and they have a lot of really interesting ideas that hopefully we can contribute to, just to, again, how do we differentiate ourselves? How do we differentiate our care? How do we get ahead of some of these things that may come along for some of our population?
So what are the when you're talking about some of this stuff, especially with that amount of data? I mean, obviously HIPAA's still there, so
yeah.
Does that interfere with your AI initiatives?
No, I mean, all of us have done this long enough that we know that's a thing.
Yeah.
And we just have to figure out how to deal with it. And we have teams within our organization that keep us on the straight and narrow around any compliance areas. So it can be harder, especially wanting to be an innovative team that wants to move fast or try things out fast, but we have to be careful and responsible as well, because we don't want to compromise anybody's data or anybody's trust. So it's a fine line that you balance. So some people see it black and white, and we live in the shade of gray that allows us to do what we want to do while not, violating anything from a compliance perspective.
Yeah, best not to do that. So that's cool. I'm really interested on the remote healthcare side of things and ramping up for that and seeing what that would look like.
Yeah.
If there is a second spike, because I noticed that I am a Kaiser member, and I noticed that they had sectioned off their clinics, so they like have respiratory clinics now and non-respiratory clinics for people that actually need to be a doctor, and I thought that was pretty smart. I'm curious to see what like the telehealth world does, and then also from a privacy perspective, telehealth, and then you see how many people got Zoom bombed and got their Zoom meetings interrupted and canceled and hijacked. So who's putting all the thought behind that as well?
Yeah, we definitely had a significant increase, and I'm not going to be able to quote the accurate numbers, so I'm not going to try, but an incredibly significant increase in the number of telehealth or televisits, if you will. I'm going to make it even more generic. I mean, in the thousands of percent increase, pretty much overnight. And so a couple of things about that. It really pushed our system beyond any numbers that we had even thought about. And overall, it was a very positive experience. So the system was solid to handle that big of an increase. And it forced us to use it in ways that maybe we had talked about, but people were a little leery. But then now we're having conversations on how do we continue this. So primary care was a big part of it. But then also now going forward, we're wondering how do we do this within specialties? Because pretty much all specialty work, and somebody's going to correct me on that, a significant amount of specialty work got put on hold just because it wasn't seen as urgent and people didn't want to come into our clinics. And to your point, we approached it in a very precise way on what to come in for, what not to come in for. But if we have a second surge, the reality is those cases still exist. Those appointments were set up, or things happen and people need to have care. So we're trying to figure out within the specialties, how do we also expand within telehealth? And the good thing for us is we have multiple telehealth options. We have chat with a doc, which is, hey, I'm feeling this and I just want to chat with somebody. I don't want a formal appointment. I don't want to come in, or I want to see if I need to come in. So we have multiple ways of doing our telehealth visits as well that I think adds to what we can do. So to your point, Brandon, within Colorado for our 28 clinics, at one point, they were all closed with the exception of the 3 that provide urgent care, and then they were all about COVID. And then it was expanded to 10 were open, and now it's over 20, but not all of them are quite open yet. I think there's still a few that are closed. But the focus was COVID, but then, okay, how do we bring other visits back in? So I think the response that we had, I was actually pretty impressed with, because I don't remember a pandemic like this being one of the use cases when we do our business continuity. But we were quick to, hey, shut it down and then gradually expand back, all within, it's only been 3.5 months. So I think we did a pretty good job. And the good thing is it forced members to take advantage of those options that we had tried to encourage them before, and now they have. Okay, so what happens next? Does that stick, or do they see it just as a temporary thing? And so we're anxious to see.
So I pasted a link to a podcast episode that actually just came out this week that talks a little bit about this. And I'm really curious what your perspective is, and we'll provide a link to the podcast when we publish this. But they talked a little bit about the changes made to CMS, where telehealth and phone visits are now fully reimbursable.
Yeah.
And there is a really prevailing notion, and we've talked about this in previous episodes of this, about this being a genie that's not going to get put back in the bottle
Yeah.
fully once things return back to normal. So
Yeah.
I'm curious if you can touch a little bit more on the specialization. In this podcast, on the Freakonomics podcast, they talk about the shift towards moving a lot of the specialist visits towards having the primary care be the interface with the specialist to still achieve that. I'm just kind of curious how that's affected you guys, and is there optimism on your side that CMS is going to start paying for this more and providing a market incentive for telehealth?
Yeah, I mean, you hit on a really key point. All along up until now, even though we encouraged members to use the options that are available, use the right option that was available, whether it's in person, whether it's chat, whether it's, whatever it might be, nurse hotline. The fact that a lot of it wasn't reimbursed, I think some of the enthusiasm for some of the more forward-thinking ways, it just wasn't there from a business perspective. But now that this forced that, because otherwise you're giving away everything. Again, I think it's going to stick. I don't think it's going to change, and that's going to be, I think, an even bigger motivator for us to encourage that. Because from a business perspective, now you've eliminated, okay, we're going to have all these visits where we don't get anything back for it. A lot of the physicians will do the right thing, the best way, the right way. But from a business perspective, I mean, even though we're a nonprofit, we still need to make some money to survive and exist and be able to grow.
Need revenue.
Right? Nonprofit does not mean no income. So
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be huge in allowing this to stay beyond the immediate emergency. The specialties, yeah, we will need to figure out how to make the specialty experience similar to the primary care experience, especially if there's a second surge and we close down some of our clinics again, because those people still need care. They had appointments for some reason. They still have issues coming up. The anecdote that I heard so many times through this is emergency departments, or in our case, urgent care locations, having so many COVID-related or suspected COVID-related people come in with those symptoms, that people having strokes and heart attacks were staying away. And it's like, well, okay, everybody still needs the significant decrease in heart attacks. It wasn't that on March 16th, all of a sudden people stopped having heart attacks. They just stopped going in for them. So that's an extreme example. But again, going back to specialties, we need to be able to provide those to some degree remotely. And I think technology can help with that, because a lot of times specialties involve maybe a little more touching, if you will, by the providers. So I think it's going to be an incredible opportunity for us within Kaiser, but also for the industry.
So I'm curious if you could touch on just another thing that they had interviewed a primary care provider. And one of her experiences was when she made the shift to telehealth. And this is kind of the other side of the coin of, people avoiding emergency care, or when they are in need of an ambulance or an ER, they don't go. But this primary care physician was experiencing a lot more frequent contact with patients, just checking in on medications, and that she saw it as a silver lining that she was seeing more patients more frequently that just needed a quick check-in.
Yeah.
And it was ultimately a better outcome for all those patients. So I'm curious if you're seeing the same thing within Kaiser.
Yeah, I've heard stories about that, and I think just to support what you're talking about, I mean, one advantage we had is nobody was doing anything, and so it allowed them. it allowed me to, hey, I'm going to follow up on this, and I'm going to check on my medication. I'm going to check in with my primary care physician because I don't have anything else going on instead of my busy schedule of work all day. And then I've got kid activities to get to. And then I've got, these things that I want to do. And then it's the end of the day and it's repeat. So part of it is, yep, I keep kicking the can down the road, but now I have the time to actually think about it and do that follow-up, and do that. And I also think just the awareness of symptoms, since we all heard, hey, here are your primary symptoms, when anybody saw a 1.5 degree increase in their temperature, they started thinking, did I catch it somewhere? So I think people were also more aware of their care overall. Some of the projects that we've gotten involved with are kind of the next domino, which are, because of the awareness, because people are thinking about it more, then there's something to be done. So I'm hoping, and we know that we'll revert back once we get back to whatever this normal is going to be. Hopefully people are still more aware and taking care of themselves, but I also hope the experience that they had through the telehealth options, instead of, okay, I have to drive 30 minutes to my appointment location, it's a 20-minute appointment, 30 minutes back, and oh, by the way, the physician is behind schedule, so I had to wait an extra 15 to 20 minutes. So right there, you're talking 2 hours out of your day versus I chatted, I was done in 3 minutes. So I'm hoping some of these telehealth options also encourage people that it doesn't have to be block off your morning or block off your day. It can be something that happens quickly. So I think there's an awareness. I think there's the telehealth options that are much quicker. And hopefully all that feeds into continuing this as well. So.
And just one last question, and I'll shut up and let somebody else talk. But I guess it's just kind of a point that I
actually I'm sorry to do this, and I'm going to ask you guys to edit this out. Can you hold on 1 second?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's one of my kids at the door.
Well, we can entertain ourselves. Brian, tell us a joke.
God, I had a good.
I'm trying to get him to shut up, but go ahead.
Go ahead, encourage him to speak more, Brandon. Good call. Jeez.
Team player.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Oh, he's back.
Don't talk about me.
You're going to have to edit that, Brandon.
That's the last 4 minutes, the blooper reel.
Pretty much that's usually all it is. But yeah.
That's true.
We just have guests talking and the rest is bloopers. Yeah.
All right, Brian. What was your point, sir?
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, Brian.
Sorry, no. Come on back. Okay. So, no, I just, I'm hopeful, especially around the CMS conversation, because there is a lot of conversation that it opens the door for things as simple as email exchanges with a physician to be reimbursable. So hopefully opens up a lot of channels of communications to patient care that really not been available until our hand was forced.
Or it was available, but people either didn't realize it or didn't realize how simple it could be. Again, if you can make this extremely simple for people, they will use it. But sometimes it feels intimidating because it's technology.
Yeah.
Well, it's got to be simple for the doctors too, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the other. You have some, and we're fortunate enough to partner with a lot of physicians that are really comfortable trying new things, trying different things. And then you still have some where, hey, I'm lucky I can log on and enter the EMR and document what I need to do. And I do it in the most complicated way because it's the only way that I know. So I think to your point, it's both ways. The physicians using it, doing it, and then the our patients doing it, and the two coming together. And if it's a positive experience, they will repeat. And I think we'll see what, you know, the numbers look like as we continue to move forward as things reopen.
Right. I think something else that's pretty interesting is that I'm curious about from just a data perspective and a statistics perspective is, are people going to be healthier not going to the doctor and doing more telehealth visits, or are we going to see more cases of all-cause mortality going up, or just general like misdiagnosis go up? Because I was like guessing maybe going to the doctor and being around a bunch of sick people, it puts you at more risk of getting sick than trying to figure out what is actually wrong with you. I don't know. I think there's a lot to learn there. I'm curious to see what we find out. I also wonder if people are going to get prescribed medication less because they're not going to go to the doctor and talk about how their toe hurts, or maybe they get prescribed medication more. I'm curious to see what trends, as like a whole bunch of people that had no idea how to operate in telehealth are all forced to do it now. I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, which trends have we used that stick beyond this? Which ones are temporary and just for this immediate emergency? And then what gaps did we have? What could we have done differently or better that we didn't? And we need to next winter. Or we just need to do better, period. So
right.
I keep putting it in the context of what's been going on, but we need to look at it even bigger than that. It's this isn't the only thing that could have happened. So
right. Yeah, is Kaiser thinking about having better or different or more in-depth preparation and plan for a different type of pandemic or a different type of outbreaks for different types of viruses? Is that raised a red flag? Oh, holy crap, maybe we need to start putting together a bunch of plans to be able to act faster in case something else happens 5-10 years from now.
And again, it has to be simple for people. One of the disappointing things, as an employee, I get a lot of information above and beyond what a member gets. And Brandon, you and I talked about this, that the communications you've gotten and the experience you've had are definitely different. And I admit that's where I pretty much only look at the employee notifications and I don't look at the member ones because they're not as helpful. Well, okay, that's great for me, but for you and for the hundreds of thousands of others that aren't employees but are still Kaiser members, make it easier for them, make the communication better, tell them exactly what to do, tell them how it's going to work. We need it's awareness as well, and yeah, that's an area that we can significantly improve on. So
that's exciting. Well, what else is new, Mike? How have you been during this whole lockdown? I know you were quite the social dude, just like myself. What have you been doing to stay sane? What are the interesting things you've noticed while being in social isolation? How have you been?
You know what? So one of the fortunate things for me is I truly am an introvert. So I watch Kyle Shannon's extrovert video every day. It's the first 2 minutes of my walk or run in the morning. And I can feel his pain by being an extrovert and not being able to be around people. So for me, being an introvert, at first it was like, oh, no problem. But then that lasted about a week and it's like, okay, yeah, got to figure out how to get some kind of social interaction, even like this. Yeah, so I think from a work perspective, a lot more Zoom meetings, a lot more video meetings, obviously. But we added morning coffees for our team where we get on like this and then we just chat about whatever. It could be, what'd you do this weekend? Or maybe it's work related. So we've added some as well. So we're probably over video meeting, if that's a verb. I would use it in it's how do you maintain those social connections at a time where you're not supposed to be socializing? And then on top of that, you know, I have a 13-year-old and 10-year-old boy, and you know, we had to figure out virtual schooling, and we had to figure out a lack of sports. and we had to figure out all kinds of things that you just don't think about, and I admit, fully take for granted. But overall, doing okay. I admit it's nice to get out a little bit more. I go to Catalyst once a week. Done a couple of real happy hours, in the setting that it's in, and I'm looking forward to that. I mean, the big things I miss. I'm a huge sports fan, so I miss Rockies games. Miss going to the rooftop. I'm a Broncos season ticket holder. I'm already hoping this can get figured out, so maybe I can see a game this year because we have a team that's generating excitement. I mean, it's that and concerts and just so many of the simple things. So,
I got to go to like a little bit of a happy hour last Friday with Aaron and Steve, and just being outside and I was the first time I'd really seen them in a few months. It felt good. I'm glad. I appreciate that things are opening up again, but I don't want to like get my hopes up and get used to it, and then everything shut down again, and how that would feel.
I admit it was the first patio happy hour I did. I was the first one there, about 15 minutes before the next person, and it was just nice just to sit there and have something that felt normal again. So
are you guys going to start going into the Innovation Center?
What's that?
Or are you guys going to start going into the Innovation Center this year? Or are you
we need to see the direction KP goes. Right now, it sounds like all the California administrative buildings are going to be closed all year. So we have to figure out how we might be able to take advantage of the space that we have for the work that we're doing. And again, it may just be one or two people in there and using Zoom meetings to, we'll be the hands and be in there. And, we'll let others direct us, and hopefully we'll be able to get feedback to people that they would have seen, by touching the technologies in person. We did have a class that was given there on Wednesday, which is why I was there earlier this week. And 10 people all wearing masks. We set it up, everybody's at least 6 feet apart, and we got very, very positive feedback that it went well, it went smoothly, they felt safe, and they would do it again. So if we can, I think it's going to depend on everybody's comfort level, plus the direction KP goes with their buildings. But I'm hoping we can at least figure out some ways to use it and take advantage of it, through this as well. I don't want it to sit dark for months at a time, because then people will start to wonder, well, why do we even need this? So.
Right. Yeah, that's intense.
And I think Brandon froze.
Must have been real intense.
He's still pondering it.
That's something else.
I think he broke his brain.
Well, thanks for that, Brandon. That was some really good input there.
Yeah, it's the best thing you've said all day.
Did you guys lose me?
Oh, yeah, you were totally frozen for like 30 seconds.
Oh, perfect. Okay, I said something really embarrassing anyway, so glad I cut that out.
I think Joey probably muted you.
No, all I was asking was, interesting, Mike, that they're basing it off the administrative in California, because isn't California in a much different position COVID-wise than Colorado? I thought Colorado was like doing a little better than California. Not to talk trash about California or anything, but I thought we were a little bit more on top of it.
Yeah, I think when you look at the charts right now, California is starting to see an uptick again, and I think, and to be fair, most of our members, most of our employees are in California, so I think I'm hoping whatever they decide there, that they're still open to whatever may be appropriate in all of our other regions as well. And because of that, the direction that we take comes from Colorado. So right now they're discouraging you going in, but leaving it optional. I hope we can at least maintain that, and they don't do the mandatory shutdown again. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Should have gone to that Panera Wi-Fi.
Yeah, exactly. We're about right here.
That darn incoming call keeps messing up his AOL connection.
Yep. He's got to do that prefix
telling
to
him.
disable call waiting.
That's right. Disable call waiting and then dial.
He's not even old enough to get the joke.
Hey, I get the joke.
But I do have a few CDs for some more hours I can send them.
CDs. Wow, must be nice. I just have 3.5-inch floppies.
Not the 5 1/4.
No, I never got those.
Fancy pants.
But the first version of Windows I ever got, I actually had on like 26 3.5-inch AOL floppies.
Jeez.
It was amazing.
Wow.
Windows 3.1.1 for work groups.
The workers. Yeah, that was like on what, 27 floppy disks to install.
Yeah, exactly. And like I said, they were all
Disk
AOL
number
floppy disks
22.
with the label ripped off.
Yeah. It's funny.
I'm not paying for floppies.
That's funny. I don't know if I've ever actually.
Precious 1.4 megs.
Yeah, 1.44 megabyte. Then we got zip drives. Woo-wee.
Oh, I remember those. That was fancy then.
Yeah, it was.
You guys are saying a lot of things I don't understand. I know what a floppy disk is, though I've never seen one.
Oh.
I know, right?
Really?
Mm-mm.
Okay, I've got one in a box somewhere. I'll bring it in when I bring in
Got
that
it.
bottle of scotch for you. So
Oh, perfect.
You have seen a bottle of scotch, right?
I have. I made scotch to enhance my coffee for this morning.
Uh-oh, Nick's unzipping.
Oh, those are mostly CDs. I thought I had some of the old Microsoft ones here in my desk, but
Yeah, actually, the piano we have upstairs is a big MIDI piano, and it has 3.5-inch floppies. So I have a USB to 3.5-inch floppies that I can write MIDI files out to it, so I can throw them into the piano upstairs and play Christmas songs. Pretty much.
Oh, that's right. I have seen that.
See?
oh my gosh.
Middies. You remember those old crappy digital cameras that you could put a 3?
Oh yeah, Mom had one of those. The old Sony with a 3.5-inch. Yeah.
they had one for a while that took zip disks, didn't they?
Yeah, they had zip disk ones too. Yep, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's funny.
And now your 4-year-old iPhone has more storage than that. So
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, the
Brandon.
Raspberry Pi that I have on my desk has 512 gig.
That's funny.
And it's the size of your pinky nail, you know?
Hey Brandon, the other thing about COVID is it allowed me to try to grow as good of a beard as you have. So
Oh, thank you. Yeah, mine got a little crazy. I had to whack away at it. The last couple episodes, I was starting to look like Grizzly Adams or something. Yeah.
I like that Nick finally hit puberty and it's actually starting to grow in. That's exciting for him.
Oh my
I
God.
just shaved mine off yesterday.
You did?
Yeah.
That's an
Actually,
Italian.
I went to my first happy hour last night, so I had to try to look presentable.
had to look good.
And you didn't
Put on a
invite me.
button-up shirt.
Wow.
Wow.
It was at a bar, so over 21 only.
I went to a happy hour last night at a bar that we go to we've been going there for years, but they separated off the tables that were out of service by putting stuffed animals in all the chairs. It's kind of interesting, right?
That's pretty
the tables
cool.
are fine, but at the same time, I don't know how I feel about stuffed animals sitting around at the bar where I'm trying to have a beer. It's like, that seems a little,
There's been a
not sure
couple
what kind of market you're trying to push here, but
There's been a couple of restaurants that have seated blow-up dolls on.
Yeah.
There you go. Now,
But really, what do you serve them? That's really the
Whole
question.
table of everyone sitting back on.
This food is amazing.
Oh my God. Okay, well now we know what part of the podcast we can't use.
Right.
I'll mark this one. It's okay. No one ever listens to the last few minutes anyway.
That's true.
I did. I knew about it. I told you I knew about the last
blooper
4
reel.
minutes. So.
I was gonna comment. I was like, wow, we have a fan and a guest.
Because one time I couldn't figure out. It's like, why is there still 4 minutes if they're wrapping up? And I was out running, and so I just let it play, and it's like, oh, now I get it. So,
Oh, I get it. Nice.
I had to go back to previous episodes and go to the last 4 minutes.
The blooper reel is something that we innovated towards. I think it was like the second episode or the third episode.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Well, it's kind of like the comeback after all the commercials on the, the little animated shows and stuff. You get to the end, they have that last commercial, and then, oh yeah, there's that little bit at the end. It's like, oh, that does wrap everything up. Fantastic. Same, we put all the content in the last 2 minutes. So.
Yeah, put all the fun parts. Aaron talking about blow-up dolls.
I didn't talk about blow-up dolls. Brian talked about blow-up dolls. I just contributed to the conversation.
You just pantomimed, or really just mimed. It wasn't even pantomime.
Yeah, there was no pants at all.
Oh my God.
It's COVID.
Oh, that's funny. Well, perfect. How are you doing on time, Mike? I know we're over time on the invite for sure. You're a busy dude.
Probably got a couple more minutes.
Okay, cool. We can wrap things up then. I appreciate you coming out, Mike. It was great having you on the podcast, and you're welcome to come back at any time if you've got something exciting you want to talk about. If there's anything else you want to plug, let me know. You get the red carpet's yours. Feel free, or we can wrap it up.
No, I appreciate the opportunity, and I was looking forward to getting the invitation to come back, because I've heard others get that, and I thought, yeah, that's kind of the bar of, did this go well or not? If you get invited back, it might have been okay. If you don't get invited back, then you know what? Wow, this sucked, and it may never actually become reality. So
if you can't get invited back to the show, there's a problem.
Yeah. I mean, I've done it on the flip side. We've had great podcasts that never saw the light of day, and it's like, apparently that wasn't as good as we thought it was.
That's funny.
But in all seriousness, it's good to meet y'all. Good luck. I'm enjoying the series, so keep it up. Keep up the good work. And thanks again for the opportunity to talk about some of these topics. As Brandon knows, I have a lot of passion around the work that our team does and our potential. And I want to figure out how through this enormous curveball, we figure out how to keep doing what we're doing to serve our members and our company.
Perfect. All right, great. Well, thanks, Mike.
Oh, wait. Most important part, we didn't do the electronic bagpipes reference, and I thought that was becoming a thing for every.
It's right like behind me.
Superman in Seinfeld.
I got a new fancy stand and everything for it. So
I am fired. You just became superstar guest there, Mike. That's a deep cut reference. That's awesome.
Aaron, two things. One, I obviously appreciate your taste in music as well.
There we go.
But I'm on the lookout for virtual bands that are in need of electronic bagpipes. So I'll let you know. I'll hook you up.
Yeah, let me know. That'd be fantastic.
One of these
He's actually writing our intro on electric bagpipe. So
that would be awesome.
We're working on some intro tunes. So
sounds good. Maybe I'll lay in another track for you to mix in, Brandon.
Yeah, I want the.
Yeah, do it.
Let me know where I can buy the soundtrack. So. Okay.
The new Normal LP. It's going to come out on a 2-inch.
Perfect. All right. Well, thanks a bunch, Mike. This has been the new normal, everyone. Thanks, panelists. We'll be back in another couple weeks. And if you enjoyed the episode, tell your friends. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, guys. Take care.
See you guys.
Be safe.